Hi, we're the Huge Movie Fanatics here to do a review for the second Rambo movie, which is called Rambo.
One of the dumbest titles.
Rambo, First Blood Part 2, which, I mean, kind of works for the movie, but it's so weird, this franchise, like,
you've
devolved.
Said that
it's
before.
First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and then just fuck it, it's Rambo. It's just so weird. But anyway, so...
And then what's Rambo fought?
I don't know what they're going to call that.
Did you hear? I don't think they're going to go with it, but I heard at one point Last Blood.
I did hear that, actually, yes.
Do you like? I
think that's kind of cool. I mean, it couldn't be any worse than Ram or something like that. Or just, this is Bo. But anyway, this is Rambo, First Blood Part 2. This is the one that popularized both the character and...
From what I hear, this was just I was too young, I didn't know anything about it at the time, but from what I hear, this was kind of like a smaller version of T2. I mean, it was big, it was successful.
It was a monster success.
Yeah.
It's not well liked by critics, but it was, it has, like, even now, a legion of fans that love this movie, like, that'll come into Barnes & Noble every once in a while and point to this as, like, great action. And I'm not one of those guys. It's my least favorite of the Rambo movies. I think,
oh shit.
And like, this hurts me to say because James Cameron's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he wrote the screenplay, but he has since in interviews kind of disowned this. He says he wrote most of the action, but Stallone rewrote a lot of his script and made some changes he wasn't keen on. But he's also responsible for getting a strong female character in there, which is a James Cameron like, staple. And I liked her character a lot until they just arbitrarily killed her. But whatever. I think I like the whole vibe of the movie. Like it is a weird one where I don't like it, and it's not one of my favorite action movies. But like the action is kind of fun, and like it's the most fun to watch Rambo movie. But they completely abandoned the whole like I don't kill scenario. Like he's just killing bad guys left and right just because they're bad or they disagree with my ideology, which is not the Rambo that you got in the first movie. It just seems very different. And the opening always makes me laugh out loud with like the Rambo explosion. And, like the very first shot is just like an explosion.
It's not an explosion, it's just a fire. It's like
it's
Rambo in the flames.
Like you hear like a boom. It opens,
oh, you mean the rocks blowing up?
Boom,
right.
It just starts with explosion.
It starts with explosion.
And like that sums up the whole movie. This is like, if you want mindless action, this is the pinnacle of 80s mindless action. But it's so relatively well done. It's got some key moments that are kind of fun. And the part where it falls apart for me, which is what most people like, is like the random shots of him like in the mud wall and like you just see the eyes open. That's ridiculous. That like I want to see the scene right before that he's just painting himself up Predator style and like, all right, I just need to wait for a guy to come by now.
And how long he waited.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just, it loses all like form of logic. And then like the great shot, he saved all the POWs, and then he takes the rocket launcher and shoots. Rocket launchers shoot flame straight behind them. All those people would just be charred and dead. Like, I want to see that next scene.
Well, what's so great about that is I've frame by framed that shot. You're talking about when he shoots out of the helicopter.
Yeah.
Because he's got a bazooka, and the editor uses a shot from like that earlier in the boat where he's got he's got the trigger on this thing. Yeah. And it's funny because you shoot that like this or whatever. Yeah. And then they put it. It's so quick though you can't see it. But he uses a shot from the boat with the full trigger like that.
Nice. But I mean.
Oh, freeze frame. Also that same scene. Maybe I'll show it on here as I'm talking about it. When you cut, there's only one frame of it, the helicopter before it explodes, before it starts exploding. It's just this hanging piece of crap, just like frame of a helicopter, and one of its wings is just hanging off to the side.
I will say that this movie lends itself to be watched like, it's a good party movie, it's a fun movie to just sit down, kick back and watch with no...
It's popcorn.
Yeah, it's just pure popcorn action, which deviated from the previous... That was the word I was looking for when we were doing the damn Psycho things, deviate. We were so cold I couldn't remember. It deviates so much from the previous one that it's just hard to watch, but if you watch it as a standalone movie, it's fun. And I'll give it 2 2.5. I'm probably being more generous than I should be, but 2.5 for this.
Did I talk about this yet?
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, shit. I don't know. I guess I grew up with this movie. A friend of mine, I'll just call him Willie. I mean, that was his first name. Willie was a good childhood friend, got me into... This is like 30 years old this year, I think. This and Commando, I think, are 30 years old. I know it, yeah, shut up. Anyway, and my good friend of mine got me into this and Commando and stuff, so thank you, Willie, because it changed my life. I mean, it's kind of like you have with certain childhood things. That's what I have with this. I'm gonna go 3 stars for Rambo First Blood Part 2 because I do like the, because I like the, whatever the hell jungle atmosphere and stuff, and it kind of makes me wish we were in the jungle atmosphere right now. And again, the music, Jerry Goldsmith comes back to do a different version.
He did a great job with this one as well.
Well, this movie I think adds the I don't know if that's on the first one or not. I don't think so. I want to say that's kind of like the but whatever. Kind of.
He had like the Asian-y vibe to it that I kind of dug in this one.
Oh yeah, the beginning credits is like
and I really like that.
Yeah, that's cool. But this is like I say, this is a solid 1980, solid 30-year-old action movie.
It's like a live-action video game. This
it is like a car. I don't know if you've heard of Akari Warriors.
It
came out and completely ripped this movie off.
Absolutely.
It's just 2 guys and just no shirt with the headbands. It's just like dun 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 dun.
And like the soundtrack even like feels like a video game soundtrack, whereas the first one felt like a film score. This one, everything about this is just popcorn.
You're right, it is. I'm not going to deny that, but it's just because I grew up with it. It's a thing of my childhood, whatever. Obviously, you didn't mention at the time was the bullshit with the Russians and like America and all this bullshit. Yeah. So obviously, this movie has to throw that crap in. It makes no sense to me. It's like what the Russians are in charge of, like the Vietnamese or something. It's just weird. I don't know if that's how it was or if they made that for the movie or what.
I think there's a lot of license taken with this.
It's like so whatever. But it's like you say, it's mostly nonsense, but in the greatest way possible. It's kind of like, do we get to win this time? It's like
I forgot about that line. I mean, like this is it's so weird because like this is the movie I point to when I'm like problem with 80s filmmaking, which is sort of the problem with current filmmaking is they were trying to make popcorn mass market movies and stuff. This is the exact implication of all of that. Yet it is fun like that. You can't deny that it's an engaging movie to watch.
But maybe not the same thing over and over.
So like it's strange that this is the movie that I point to as this is what was wrong with the 80s, but at the same time I'm like it's not that bad though.
Well, why don't you point to Commando? I would think.
I mean Commando as well, but this one is more high profile than Commando is. Like Commando's just. It's the same thing, essentially, but Commando's written by one of my favorite comic book writers, Jeff Loeb, who's currently doing like some of the Marvel TV shows and stuff. Fun fact.
I don't know, maybe I've talked about it enough. What do you think?
I mean, I don't have a lot to say outside of...
I think I pretty much said stuff,
Do you dig the whole like end vibe where it's like, he comes out of the wall like an alien, like... the whole mud scene.
I mean, the movie's ridiculous, so to me it doesn't stand out as being particularly any more ridiculous than anything else. I
mean, like that's what I mean though. Like after watching the first one, which is so like hyper kind of reality, and this one doesn't.
When you compare the two,
when you watched it back in the day, didn't that like bother you? That's why this one bothered me so much.
No, I didn't really. I guess for me, Rambo First Blood Part 2 has its own whatever character and world that. Once you get into, I just feel like the ridiculousness stuff isn't so ridiculous. It's just all within the world. It just works for me. So, I mean, if that had been in First Blood, where it's just out of the blue, he's like, that would have been dumb.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for watching. We're going to end this review of Rambo First Blood Part 2. Be sure to check out Rambo 3 review coming up next. Thanks for watching.